Now, we come to chapter 8 in Daniel, and here is Daniel's vision of the ram and he-goat and another little horn. And this is a very important chapter, and yet it's already been fulfilled. All of this, when it was given, it was prophetic, and it was fulfilled. And by the way, this is the chapter that a great many of the radical critics, they use this chapter as the basis for giving a late date of Daniel. And you know the argument rests on this. Well, we know that to prophesy concerning the future is supernatural. We do not believe in the supernatural. Therefore, this could not be given as prophecy. It was written afterward as history. And you know, that probably is about the weakest argument that there is. It's not our purpose in this study to go in introductory matters, but I want to say to you, you can't maintain the late date of Daniel. Daniel was written by Daniel. I always think of what Mark Twain said about Shakespeare. You know, there's a debate, by the way, whether Shakespeare wrote Shakespeare or not. Some thought Bacon wrote it. And a professor of mine, he wrote a paper once, bringing home the bacon. And he believed that Shakespeare wrote Shakespeare. Well, Mark Twain answered that. He said Shakespeare didn't write Shakespeare. It was written by another man by the same name. Well, you can say about the book of Daniel, then, to answer the critics, Daniel of 600 and something B.C. did not write Daniel, but it was written by another man by the same name at the same date. Now, that brings us here to chapter 8, and you have in the first 14 verses the vision of the ram and the he-goat. And then the action is given to us beginning with verse 8, actually through 14. And then beginning with verse 15, we have the meaning of the vision. Goes through verse 27. Now let's just look at this prophecy here for just a moment that is before us. Now this prophecy of the ram with two unmatched horns and the he-goat with one horn, it places a microscope down on the conflict that existed between the Second and Third World empires in the struggle of East and West. That was important, of the Orient and the Occident, Asia and Europe. It was the empire of the Medo-Persian and then the empire of the Greco-Macedonian. Now we are going to see a little horn here again. He's already been fulfilled in Antiochus Epiphanes, and we're going to see that when we get to it. And we find all of this is already fulfilled today. Now, there's something else we ought to say about this section, and that is that beginning at verse 4 of chapter 2 through this last chapter, chapter 7, it was written in Aramaic. That was the original language, or Syriac. And now we return back to Hebrew here. But you and I'll stick with the English translation, of course. So that makes it intensely interesting. What we have seen was given in the world language of these four great empires. Now we're going to have some specifics given to us in this section here. And so we'll see the division of the Goat Empire of Alexander into four kingdoms. And that seriously involved Israel. And then we'll see the downfall of the Medo-Persian Empire and how it fell. This is something that is very important because it concerned the nation Israel.